Um, Good morning, good afternoon, or either good night. My name is Emily, and we're going to answer the question gave by the professor in order to present the first midterm exam. So the question is to explain the role of political parties in the creation of Latin American states. So um, we have to, in order to answer the question, we have first to understand that the importance of political parties relies more in their role as a primary mechanism of the institutionalization of power. This was after the political vacuum left by the colonial rule. Otherwise, the monarchy left an absence of political power and as well as power as a whole. So this led to political parties. And we also have to understand that instead of this idea of the representation of the general population that was popularized by the French Revolution, the political parties in Latin America were actually used as tools and more as faction for the elite groups. This in order to keep to name the state structure, the economic morals, and the social order. So basically, um, the political parties were used as a way to drain the the interests of elite powers. Okay, we're going to have three examples, maybe four, but I don't think so. Starting by Mexico. Well, Mexico political parties were primary way to organize the state. This after the collapse of the Spanish monarchy. This was around 1821. And of course, since there was no democratic tradition left, political life was managed through Masonic lodge. Uh, okay, so the institutional conflict here relies over the fact that the Yorkinos and the Escoceses were that we understand that this has the liberals and the conservatives were not they were not a group of friends. They were proto parties that fought to decide how the Mexico style will be balanced, whether it was a federal republic, which means giving the power to the states, or a centralist republic, keeping the power in Mexico City. So their importance relies on the fact that they created the first political and administrative structure of power, and the idea of a whole nation as the Mexican state. It doesn't matter if they change sides to keep the economic control, um, or they were driven by the elites. We cannot forget that most of the political parties has had as member elites. So that explains it. We're going to move on with Chile. So the difference between Chile is that the party, the political parties were used as an instrument of order. So, contrary to other countries, Chile didn't have their own political parties first. Why? Because the political parties gave stability. They gave the Chilean state stability. Uh, this was earlier than any Latin American nation. Um, we cannot forget that this the history of political parties in Chile explains how the Chilean state works nowadays too. So the role of conservative parties was crucial. They kept the Pelucones and they took over total control uh, because they rely on the importance of a state of law. We have to talk also about the constitution of the 1833, and as well as Diego Portales' influence. So, this constitution was made again by the political party, the Conservatives, and it was designed by with the influence of Diego Portales, and this gave the monarchy almost monarchical powers, again filling the vacuum of power left by the monarchy. And it also gave the state a protective shield against these wars, and also kept safe the commercial elites, such as the one in Valparaiso. So the result was that while other Latin American countries were fighting their own internal battles, led by the political parties, and the difference between them, the Chilean State Party, um, their system gave the unifying and stable country. That it led to the the they gave them the status of the as economic uh, as a economic country very soon. Finally, the last example is Costa Rica. So in Costa Rica, the we have the very special case that we have elite economic powers, such as the coffee elites. So the political parties were used as a lobby to satisfy the interests of these elites. Well, um, the institutional stability, realizing the importance that these groups were able to use the military support not for a civil war but to sustain and legitimize the power, which led to the fact of legitimizing the state, ensuring that no internal conflict were able to harm the coffee harvest, so the economic backbone of the country, the economic elites, basically. So they were training as interest of the elite. Basically, that's all. Thank you so much. Bye.